Hey there, and welcome to another episode of The Rising Tide with Barot. Today, I'm joined with Nadja, which I've met in San Cristobal de las Casas in Mexico. And yesterday was the 2nd of November, which is a public holiday for el Día de Muertos in Mexico, the Day of the Dead. And we were having very interesting conversations about our cultures, both French and growing up in Hong Kong and her German background culture, and just how everything that was happening was very foreign. And we were just looking in awe, and we're going to elaborate on that. So yeah, do you want to share a little bit about yesterday and what you felt?
Yep. Yeah. Of course. Yesterday was a really special day for me because I was really looking forward to this day and how people from here would celebrate it. Because in Germany we don't have a day like this at all, celebrating our
Ancestors.
Ancestors, and being reminded of them telling stories. So yesterday was there was a really precious moment when we drove into that really nice village, and there
Chamula it was. Yeah.
Chamula, yeah, right. The place was called Chamula, and it's a place where a lot of indigenous people live in, and we first went to that really nice church and had a look at that. Some of us were ringing those bells.
Yeah. So the facade of the church had 3 big bells at the top, and from the front of the church you could stand, and there was 3 ropes that you could pull on and ring.
Right.
Describing a little bit. Yeah.
Yes, of course. And there was a meaning behind it. The indigenous people thought or think that when they ring the bell, they invite the spirits of their ancestors and invite them to celebrate the day with them. So I thought that was really nice, and I never heard about that before. So that was really nice to see.
Yeah. And it was the whole remembering of the dead in that way.
Yes.
Because we're saying in our Western upbringing, it's very sad. It's you have the funeral, it's a sad moment, you let it go, and maybe for a couple of years afterwards you would go and visit the cemetery on their birthday or the day which they died. But slowly you'd sort of fade away from that. I mean, I don't know about you listening, and I'd be interesting to hear your feedback actually. So you can contact in any ways at DM on Instagram or even on add a comment. But you don't think about them in a particularly positive light on a annual basis after their death. And that's sort of, and it sparked a conversation just going, we don't do this.
Yes, we don't do that, which is kind of sad because I really enjoyed it yesterday, how they celebrated it. After that church thing, we were walking straight to the cemetery, and there was like a big fest, a big party going on.
It was colorful, it was joyful, music.
Happy people, bands. There were even bands on the graves playing music. They were eating. Everybody was bringing the favorite food of their ancestors and drinks. A lot of Coca-Cola was floating there. Lots of food, lots of happy people, and we had a precious moment with a family from there at the graves. And the family was sharing for me it was like a very special moment because they were inviting us to sit with them, and they were offering us foods and drinks as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
So just to describe this for you listening in your ears or even watching this on video and you don't see it, the cemetery was just, vast. You could see all of it. It wasn't huge, but it was a good size cemetery. People are buried, and you could see their bumps. So it's not dug into ground. So it was bumps next to each other. And I guess some of them were buried on top of each other because you had a couple of crosses on top of each other on the head of the tombs, which I didn't ask what that represented. And so it was bumps after one another, and you had families gathering around their grave. So they'd be, what I want to say is picnic in a park, in a graveyard around one's grave tomb. And so, yeah, exactly. You're laughing because it's a funny picture, right? You're
yes, absolutely.
In a Western cemetery, you would never think, hey, let's go hang out and have a picnic with our dead ancestors. But that's what they were having.
Yes.
You had like tamales, and there were kids around going around selling snacks, both like nuts and like dried fish and every other type of, and same thing with drinks. And some had bands singing to their ancestors as well. And so we approached, we kindly approached a family asking like names and introducing. And they said sit down, and we chatted with them in Spanish. And it was very special.
Very special. I thought the kindness they had for us as strangers was just amazing, because it felt like they have such big hearts, just sharing everything they
Sorry,
had.
I'm just gonna. If you're hearing popping behind, it's Saint Nicholas Day, and so in order to celebrate the saints in Mexico, they pop firecrackers. So if you're hearing that, that's what it is. It's a celebration going on outside. Sorry. Yes. So
right.
They were sharing
everything. It's just so nice, and I felt so welcome by them offering us everything, and it was just kind of a little bit also weird thinking for me, because we were sitting on somebody else's grave. For them it was just normal, and for us I think it was just like a rare feeling, because in my country it was a sign of disrespectfulness if you just step on someone else's grave.
Tombstones, you go completely.
Right, and there they were just standing, dancing, and sharing drinks with people in
pouring it.
Directly on top of the grave.
It was soil, so not the stone covering, but it was direct soil onto the grave.
Yes.
And people going to their grave would just walk on other people's graves.
Right. That was
just like normal. And if we would try to like walk in the low parts, like the holes where the bodies weren't buried, whereas they would actually walk from bump to bump, which is body to body.
Right.
And we're like, I was telling to another person as well when we were walking out, I was like saying like, oh, excuse me, sorry, excuse me, coming through, sorry, like excusing myself to people being buried there. It's so weird. It's like trying to put our culture and seeing what they're doing and respecting theirs and seeing how this is not disrespectful for them, but it feels weird for us because it's like, wait, you do that?
Right. That was just all in general really, really special. Oh, actually, the different kind or different types of crosses they were having, I learned that those all have different meanings. For example, the green cross means that they were volunteering for a church, and the church is thanking them for their work, and that's why they also have a green cross, for example. Then they have a black one, and there is also existing another color, but I don't know what that was standing for. So but it all has a meaning.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Then I was also saying, like, who would you remember on this day? Like, who's like passed away in your family that you'd put on an altar, or you would dedicate the Day of the Dead for, and rethinking about those people.
Yes, that was really nice. I was thinking of my grandparents who passed away, and they were close to me. I was with them at least every week, at least once a day, a week. And yes, that made me think of them. And I was thinking that this tradition that they had, I would kind of like to bring it with me to Germany and maybe do that next year.
It's true. It's same. It's for me. It was my great grandfather, which I'd known till I was about 11. That's when he passed away. My great grandmother was saying I had memories of memories, like people telling me about her. She passed away. I was 8, younger. And my grandfather from my dad's side passed away when I was very little. So I don't remember him that much, but my cousin knew him a lot. And so when I spent time with my cousins, then we have memories from him. And actually, I thought also I've got an uncle who passed away a couple of years back as well. And yeah, I smiled. It's like, it definitely would be fun to have the spirit come back and say hi. He was a lively person. I remember him very dearly. And just so for the Day of the Dead, exactly, it's a moment where our loved ones come back to the world of the living. There's a passage, so they use pine. They're not leaves, the things that are on pine trees.
Yeah. Needles.
Pine needles, here we go. And then the petals of the orange flowers, which I don't know the name of.
Yes.
Anyways, the Mexican orange flowers that you see in every celebration for the Day of the Dead. And so these are used to create a pathway from the cemetery to one's home so that the souls can find their way to the family and to the altar, where you would decorate it, candles, offerings, and pictures of the loved ones which you remember, so that they can come, and on that day, which is a crossover between both worlds, everybody is reunited for a big party.
Yes.
So that's the idea behind the Day of the Dead as well. So yeah, you're talking about recreating that in Germany, having a day where you remember.
Yes, we agree, especially talking about our loved ones that are not with us anymore, just to remember them and talk about them on that special day. I would love that. Yeah.
Talk about the good times, memories,
right.
What they meant to us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what we learned from them. Yeah, all the good times.
All the good times, yes. I mean, when they were still alive, for example, at my grandparents' house, we always were there all together on a Sunday, having the big Sunday meal together, because my grandma always cooked for like 12 people, although we only were like 8 or something. She always was cooking a lot, and it would be nice just to talk about her, talk about my grandpa, in our family group, just to remember them and be happy together. Yeah, it would be really nice. I think that would be lovely. Yes.
I'm thinking also about, I guess it's got some truth, where the idea is, because our ancestors' soul live in this world of the dead, that when you pass away, you join them again as well. So there's a continuity of that life that keeps going. And as a reference, if you've seen Coco, but saying that when you're forgotten in the real world, you then also disappear in the beyond world. And so it's, you stay alive as long as somebody remembers you. Somebody has a memory of you. Which is, it kind of goes into sort of, I want to say like having a legacy in a way. It doesn't have to be like something super important. Because legacy can mean really big, but just, being remembered, passed down. And I just think of 4 years ago, trying to find the time, my family sold the family home, which we had in the family for over 200 years, and I was over to help clean it up before we sold it. And there's a lot of things, and you just go and like, oh, who's this? And it's like, oh, this is a great uncle, and he wrote music. And who's this? This is a great grandfather, and he was doing paintings for the Marine in France. And who's this? And you go back to all these people, part of your family, who you kind of, again, forgotten in a way, and just part of the heritage of all the different things of who you are. Yeah.
Yes, I see what you're saying. And that would be nice. Just imagine them, your family, being on that altar and telling stories about them, who they were, what they did, how everybody was related to one another. And I think that could be just like 1 or 2 really nice, cozy days or party days, like they did it here on the graves. It would get like, for me, more special meaning, because when I think of the cemetery in Germany, it's a place where everybody goes. It's really quiet. It's sad, and to be honest, I don't like to go there because. When I think of my grandma, for example, I don't have any relation to that grave, and I don't want to go there and be sad. And that's what I relate to the cemetery in Germany, where my grandma is buried, for example. So that's why I better like to remember her. At home, and. But it's just coming on my mind when, for example, I eat something special, something that she used to cook, or I cannot even say special music she was listening to, because she didn't listen to special music, but the things I connect with her that make me think of her. Is not, I would say, too often. I don't have that moment too often, but it would just be nice to have a certain day in a year to celebrate. Yeah.
Say 2nd of November next year.
Yeah.
Well, it'll be first. Well, I believe it's like you prep it on before, and the 1st of November at night, and then on the 2nd is, when you sort of can go to the graveyard. Although they do apparently go to the graveyard like a little bit before, and like even today they were saying, because it's one day afterwards, that they go as well do it.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
Or even just have like an altar wherever you are. I was telling actually Alex yesterday, so one of the other volunteers at the hostel, who was putting together an altar at the hostel, and I was putting the altar together with him, and I was like, this is the first time I do an altar for the dead.
Yeah.
And it was quite nice. It's
they did an amazing job.
I'll share, there'll be a picture on the blog post where this is shared, so the links will be in the descriptions. And it was just lots of flowers, and taking the time also to put something together in remembrance of your loved ones is. I always talk about self-care, and this is not self, it's family, but it's still like you're putting a moment of intention for people who are part of your life, and make who you are. And yeah, exactly. Yeah, who cared for us too. So that was
Nice moments. Yeah, can imagine. Also, the day before we did visit the village, I did a tour for how was it called again?
The altars.
Ofrenda tour.
The ofrendas. Yeah.
Ofrenda is altar. Right, and
everybody uses the Spanish words here, and we all know what it means.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna translate it back to English.
Right. So I saw some ofrendas, and there were really nice ones where people put a lot of effort into it, and so they, for example, there was an altar with with all the food. So they put, for example, when you see a typical ofrenda, they put, for example, salt on it and the bread of the dead and very individual things that the beloved ones really liked. For example, the mother of the girl who was working in that restaurant, she put her grandma on that ofrenda, and she said she always loved milk and she loved cereals, so she put on top milk, cereals, and some fruit that she liked, and that is so individual. You can put everything that you would like. It's just really important that everything you put on the ofrenda is really fresh and not rotten, because who would offer their guests rotten food?
Yeah.
So it's special, and you need always to change the food or the food on the ofrenda when you see it's going bad. Yeah. And they put on the salt because it means purification for them, and also when they come from that very long journey, they need to get that taste again, and they offer water also because after that long journey they must be really thirsty. So that's what they put on the ofrenda, and there is a lot of thinking behind it, and I really like that. I have to say, candles and flowers made everything so special. I really like it.
Yeah, and the towns also are decorated with. I need to find the name of the flower.
Yes,
They're orange flowers, and they're everywhere in every single city in Mexico around this time. Yeah, and it starts quite a bit early because, I arrived in Mexico City mid-October, and it was already, those decorations were out. The ofrendas, not so much, some, but the stores were being decorated with those colors. And it's actually one thing that I quite like as well. It wasn't Halloween. Halloween is, it felt completely different for me. It wasn't, some people dressed up Halloween-y and then went out and there was trick-or-treating as much as, it was at the same time. So Halloween, 31st of October, Day of the Dead, 2nd of November. But it had a different feel. Coming from Hong Kong, Halloween is just a big booze party thingy. It doesn't mean anything apart from a reason to dress up and get drunk.
I had the feeling that it was like two different kind of parties. It was one for the children who have seen Halloween. Right. All the drunk grown-ups. Right. But of course, also America has an influence here. North America has an influence here as well.
I think they come from different things because Halloween is Salem, it's the witches, it's a different, there's also that as well. But for some reason, there must be a common ground to it because it's obviously very close to the date, and that I don't know.
Yeah.
You guys, somebody might know listening to this, but I don't know. But it does have Yeah, I guess Halloween, like I said, has been sort of Americanized. So it's
Yeah.
very like you get dressed up, trick or treat,
Right.
go out. Whereas
Right.
you did dress up for the Day of the Dead, but the costumes were completely different.
Absolutely. You can
Had a
see
different feel.
skeletons on people's faces. They're colored white, and they had those flowers also as the decoration on their hair. And yeah, that looks really pretty. And before I ever knew what the Day of the Dead really means, I didn't really like that skeleton dress up thing. But now I know the meaning behind it and what the Day of the Dead really means. And yeah, now I really like it. Right.
Campachuli.
Campachuli is
Yeah, I think that's what it is. I'm sorry, I'm looking on my phone and I'm like Googling because it is like I gotta have this flower.
We are talking about this flower the whole time and we don't know the name, but now we know.
Yeah, Flor de Campachuli.
Flor de Campachuli. There we go. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's yellow and orange marigold, also known as Flor de Campachuli. Here we go.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree on the costumes and the celebration. And again, it's the Day of the Dead is a family thing where you prep together, you come in, it's a whole ancestor thinking about. Yeah, it's a reunion in a way.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I really liked it. Would you like to come here again for the Day of the Dead? Maybe another city, or do you think?
Yeah, and what I was saying is I would love to be part of, like doing a homestay, be part of the family who would accept to have somebody outside and do the whole, like including the prepping, the decorations, the cooking, and just all of it. I think that to experience another culture, to experience with somebody who's living it, not because we saw it from an outside point of view. And same thing, like we walked up to the family and started talking to them and asking questions, and they were very kind and they offered us food and we didn't ask anything, and both of us we looked at each other and was like, wow, so kind, you know. And also because we were asking like, what's that? There's a whole bunch of different fruits and vegetables that we don't know what they are, or we didn't know what they are.
Do you remember the name of that? There was a fruit that was...
boil it. It's like green and tiny little bit hairy.
Yes, hairy.
Like spiky hairy.
Yeah, spiky hairy. That's right. And it had the consistency of a potato, of a cooked potato, and it also tasted similar.
One pip inside. Yeah.
Right.
So it was a fruit.
Yeah. So
it wasn't a potato.
Right. And it was really interesting to taste something new, and I love that about new countries, right?
Yeah. And they gave us a tamales wrapped in banana leaf, and it had the beans inside. And then we had some posh. Yeah, locally made posh, which is their local distilled spirit.
Right. Made out of corn.
Yes.
Made out of corn.
It's very smooth.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just the welcoming attitude of the family. I mean, it was the elder, I guess. It was her and her kids who were there.
Yeah,
I guess. Yeah,
some of them were a little shy, but very interested in.
They were curious.
Well.
Yeah, very curious. It was. She was sitting next to her husband. He passed away. Yeah, it was a beautiful
experience.
Yeah.
Right.
And anything else? Yeah, you'd like to share?
No, I think at the moment
That's okay too.
everything I wanted to talk about. Yeah, I think.
Yeah. We did have a moment yesterday, like I said earlier, where we were really curious and it was like so foreign and wanting to know more because it was like out of our personal comfort zone because we kind of grown up with it. And I'll just share, for me, it's interesting because hearing about this tradition here in Mexico, Chinese, because growing up in Hong Kong, you've got the Tomb Sweeping Day, which is Changnyeong Festival, I believe, in Hong Kong, and it happens in March or April every single year. And so the Chinese family will go to the graveyard and they will clean the tomb, and it's also giving offerings to the ancestors, and you burn, and I'd see it from afar, and I've never sort of gone closer to it. I know it happens. It's a public holiday, so you get a day off. Yay, go to the beach. It's true. Yeah. It's like if it's not your culture, and I have to say another thing. It was in Hong Kong. If it's local families, they'll speak Cantonese. I don't speak Cantonese. Whereas here, with the Spanish, I understand a bit, I can babble a bit, you too, and so we approach and we ask questions and they answered and we could understand it. So it was also nice to have that interaction because it was possible. I mean, most people in Hong Kong do speak English, you could technically go and ask, but I've never done that. And just like cultures across the globe would celebrate ancestors, but some of us don't.
Yes.
So that's why we had the same sort of feeling, and asked Nadja if she'd come on and talk for a recording. And thank you so much, by the way, for sharing and opening up.
Yeah, thank you very much for doing that. This is the first time for me, and I was feeling really excited, and I still am a little bit. But it was fun. Thank you for having me.
I'll share Nadja's Instagram account as well if you're curious and you'd like to get to know more about her or share experiences with her as well. You can go and find her there. It'll be in the descriptions wherever you're listening to this episode. And I'll just continue to wrap it up so you're currently on a Latin American travel for another month still about?
I'm going back to Germany in December.
Mid-December you were saying, right?
I wanted to celebrate my birthday still in Panama with some friends of mine. And after, I want to go to Germany again and celebrate Christmas with my mom.
Family time.
Family time.
With our loved ones who are alive.
Right.
And so you still got a bit, and you've been traveling for a little while.
Yes, so I have to say that I'm looking forward to some food again.
But
the friends,
that's lovely, so thank you. And made incredible new connaissances, meetups, people. Between the French, the English, and the Spanish, my brain is like, you've got German, English, and Spanish going on. So
I absolutely know how it is.
Everybody seems to be speaking at least 3 languages in this place.
It's really nice. You can always switch somehow, but it's really cool, and they understand. So.
It's been an interesting one for the language switch. Anyway, so thank you very much again. Thank you to you listening right here, and let us know what you've thought about. You can tag both of us after listening to this episode, and I'll see you guys later. All right, bye.
Bye.